All Google Maps platform APIs and SDKs require a valid API key to be sent with all requests. An API key is a unique string that allows Google to identify who's requesting access to the platform and to verify that they have permission to do so. The API key also tells Google Maps platform which project the requested usage should be billed to. A number of restrictions can be assigned to an API key to limit how it can be used. Restricting API keys is optional, but highly recommended, since they help keep your account secure and prevent unintended or malicious usage of your project. In this video, you'll learn how to generate and restrict an API key. Let's get started by generating a new API key. If you already have an API key for your project, skip ahead to see how to restrict your key. Start by going to the Google Cloud Platform console. Make sure you've selected the project you want to generate or restrict an API key for. Select the Menu button on the top left corner of the page, hover over APIs and Services, and then select Credentials. Next, click the Create Credentials button and select API Key from the drop-down menu. Once you do this, a pop-up will appear that displays your new API key. You'll also see it appear in the list of API keys on the page. By default, your key will be assigned a name, but you can rename it and adjust the restrictions at any time by clicking the Edit icon next to it. Now that we've created a key, let's look at how to restrict it. Click the Edit icon next to the key in the list to open the Restrict and Rename API Key page. There are two types of key restrictions: application restrictions and API restrictions. First, we'll discuss application restrictions. There are 4 application restrictions: HTTP referrers, IP addresses, Android apps, and iOS apps. Since you can only set one type of application restriction per key, you'll need to choose the restriction based on your project and development needs. If needed, you can always create multiple API keys, each with its own type of application restriction. Here's a quick overview of how you might use them. HTTP referrer restrictions are intended for API keys that will be used to make requests from a website or web app. For example, adding emilysdonuts.com will only allow requests that originate from emilysdonuts.com, while adding emilysdonuts.com/mymaps will only allow requests originating from that subdomain. HTTP referrer restrictions also support wildcards. For example, emilysdonuts.com/* will allow requests from any path under emilysdonuts.com, like emilysdonuts.com/specials. And *.emilysdonuts.com will allow requests from any subdomain such as login.emilysdonuts.com. If your domain uses both HTTP and HTTPS, you must add those separately. IP address restrictions allow calls from specific IP addresses. This can be particularly useful for back-end developers who call Google Maps platform from specific servers. Android app restrictions only allow calls that originate from Android applications. When you select this, you'll need to specify your package name and SHA-1 signing certificate to ensure only requests from your specific Android apps are allowed. iOS app restrictions only allow calls that originate from iOS applications. You'll need to specify at least one iOS bundle identifier to add this restriction. Now, let's look at API restrictions. API restrictions allow you to specify the APIs that can be called using the key. To add API restrictions, first click Restrict Key. Then, from the Select APIs drop-down menu, click all the APIs for which you want to enable access for that key. You can add API restrictions in addition to any application restrictions. Once you've finished setting up restrictions for your key, click Save. It may take up to 5 minutes for restrictions to fully take effect. Now that you've restricted your API key, you're all set to start using Google Maps platform. To learn how to use the platform, follow the links to our documentation and some of our tutorials below. If you like this video, please like and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching and happy mapping!